Hello again. I mentioned yesterday that there was I was slightly suspicious of all the fires which apparently swept the country as soon as the temperature reached a new record for Britain. I was puzzled that they would all have started on the same day that the record was broken, and not, say, on the previous day when the temperature was only a degree or two lower. I thought that viewers might be interested to see the explanation for what was seen, which will, I'm afraid, do nothing to increase their faith in or love of the mainstream media. As we know, every newspaper the day following the news that the thermometer had topped 40 degrees carried headlines to the effect that Britain was burning, with photographs of things actually burning houses, grassland, and so on. The conclusion we were to draw was obvious. Record-breaking heat had caused fires to spring up everywhere. It's global warming with a vengeance. A quick scout about on the internet soon shows how this trick was played. In fact, there have been suspicious fires in the days leading up to the record-breaking heat, but they have only been of local interest. Some of these were definitely arson. On Sunday night, for instance, in Staffordshire, an old factory was torched. Or I should say that there was a serious fire which the police were treating as arson. I give a link to a news item to this in the description to this video. Firefighters from 13 stations attended the blaze, which was very serious. This was only of interest to people in Staffordshire. It was purely local news. In Hartlepool, in the north of England, a garage was set on fire on Friday evening. And then on Monday, the day before the record-breaking temperature, the fire brigade was twice called to stretches of grassland near a beach, which it was thought had been set on fire on purpose. The following day, grassland in a cemetery caught fire, and this too was thought to be arson. I give a link to this story as well. These are just two random cases. There are many more. What has actually been happening is that before Tuesday, when the hottest day was recorded, there have been many fires in various places in Britain, some involving buildings and others grassland. A lot of these have been assumed to be arson, but they are essentially small local stories, and the national newspapers and television stations didn't bother with them. With the big story of Britain having the hottest day ever, though, these local fires became interesting to the BBC and the big newspapers. They tied in with a narrative which is widely embraced by the average person, which is to say that the Earth is heating up and we're going to be seeing freakishly high temperatures accompanied by raging fires. It's a great story, and it puts me in mind of the old science fiction film from the early 1960s called The Day the Earth Caught Fire. It starred, by the way, Leo McKern, the fellow that went on to play Rumpole of the Bailey. The thumbnail to this video shows a poster for this film. So it was that yesterday morning all the newspapers chose to misrepresent the situation and suddenly publicise all those cases of arson across the country, which had been going on for a while, and to pretend that they were something to do with climate change. The same thing, by the way, is happening with coverage of fires in other parts of the world. We are told about the terrible forest fires in France and so on, but that too is attributed to climate change. Then we notice this little story headed Suspect in Huge French Forest Fire Questioned Over Arson in 2012. I give a link to this. It seems that an arrest has been made and that this great European fire is also likely to be the result of arson. The fact is, hot, dry summers bring out the arsonists. Sometimes teenagers or kids think it amusing to set fire to very dry grass. At other times, those with a pathological interest in fire see a golden opportunity when conditions are right. There was a lot of this kind of thing during the 1976 heatwave in Britain. More recently, we've seen widespread arson in Australia and the United States when the weather has been exceptionally hot and dry. I'm quite sure that those publishing the newspapers that carried headlines in Britain, like Britain is burning, knew all this perfectly well, but the chance to make a splash on the front page was simply too good to miss. I suppose, too, that this will come in handy if anybody moans about having to pay very high gas bills this winter. We'll be able to tell them that burning fossil fuels in that irresponsible way when doing a Sunday lunch on a gas cooker is causing the planet to burst into flames.